Hi, my name is Jen Brechtel, and I'm a certified health education specialist with the Concord Regional VNA. I want to thank you for choosing to view this program titled The Caregiver's Guide to Communication. Over the course of this program, my hope is to share the benefits of effective communication, the value of using I statements, and to provide at least one strategy you can use to improve communication in your daily life. I think we would all agree that good communication is important no matter what our role or who we are speaking with. Although as a family caregiver, communication is one of our most important tools. When communication is effective, it can ease our journey as a caregiver and really allows others to feel comfortable with conversations as well as supporting us in our journey as a caregiver. So let's get started by talking about some of the benefits of communication. So when we talk about effective communication, I think it's important to realize that it helps us better understand a person or a situation. It enables us to resolve our differences. It helps us to build trust and respect. And it also creates an environment where ideas, problem solving, affection, and caring can flourish. So as we look at the items on this slide, the takeaway from all of this is that good communication can really help us reduce our stress and our frustration while increasing our sense of being heard. One of the most effective ways to do this is through the use of I messages. And when we talk about I messages, these messages are a great way to open the door to communication as well as support us in our ability to problem solve. So here's a little bit more information about iMessages. And when we talk about iMessages, they are particularly useful when we're upset and we want to express our feelings without escalating any conflict. So iMessages are really about me and how I feel in response to a particular situation, and not so much what the person I'm communicating with has or has not done. iMessages are a really effective way to convey our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions. They're very beneficial if we're looking to resolve conflict or to address a problem that we have experienced. And I think it's important to remember when we use iMessages that we want to make sure we're providing a description of the problem or challenge, the effect it's had on our lives, as well as what we'd like to see or how we'd prefer it be handled in the future. Using iMessages really can take a little bit of preparation, a little bit of practice, and some thought, but they can really be beneficial in having a very effective conversation. The other side of iMessages is something called U messages. And when we talk about U messages, they really tend to pass the blame to the receiver of the message. Oftentimes, U messages are used when conflict starts to arise because we're bothered by something the receiver has or has not done, and it can invoke defensiveness and conflict in the conversation because of how these messages are received by the person we're communicating with. So I think it's important to remember when communicating with other people that it is really about me and how I feel or what I think or what my emotions are to a particular topic or particular situation. So here's an example of a U message. You have left me to provide all the care to Mother. You don't know what it is like to try to meet all her needs. So if someone was to say this to you, think about how you would react. You might feel angry. You might feel defensive. You might make a conscious decision not to help with anything moving forward, or you might simply walk away. And all of those things are likely not the anticipated outcome of the person looking to initiate the conversation about mother's care, but through the use of a you message, that has happened. You messages can have a negative impact on moving toward resolution, so it's important to think about how we're framing things, especially as it relates to a challenging or difficult topic or situation. So when we think about I messages, they really are useful if we're upset and we want to express how we are feeling without escalating a conflict. So when I look at this statement, I might think about reframing it to this. I feel like I am left to care for Mother by myself. I need help in meeting her needs. So while the message is the same in both of these examples, we've just said it in a way that it's about me and how I feel in my ability to meet the needs of Mother, and not necessarily what my siblings are or are not doing. The hope is the I message can be a springboard to a more productive conversation with my siblings about how we can work together to support our mother in her journey as a care partner. So along with choosing our words carefully, we also need to be aware of our actions when we're communicating with people. So this next slide talks a little bit about some of the actions to think about when communicating with others. Remaining calm and talking in a gentle, matter-of-fact way, keeping our sentences short and simple. So like this to asking someone to pass the salt. Our body language can also be very important when we're talking about improving communication. So making sure we're looking a person in the eye, we're leaning in, we're engaged, we're interested in the conversation, and we're also interested in working together towards resolution. Oftentimes, we find ourselves multitasking in our role as a caregiver, and I think it's important to talk directly to the person and not multitask while we're having a conversation. So not preparing meals, not doing the laundry, not on our way to a doctor's appointment or the grocery store. Really, it's important to set time aside to have a one-on-one conversation speaking directly to the person. This can save time in the long run because misunderstandings can be avoided because we're not distracted by other things happening around us. The last thing listed here is to recognize the person has the right to express their feelings in return. Even though they might not be mirror images of ours, we need to be respectful in these conversations and be mindful of how we respond. So I think it's really important to work hard to not reply with a you message when someone expresses their feelings in return as part of the conversation. One way to minimize the use of you messages when having a conversation is to breathe. And while this seems like a relatively simple idea, taking a couple of deep breaths before starting a conversation can be beneficial to focus us on the conversation and what we'd like to communicate. And if the conversation becomes emotional or difficult, taking a couple of moments to pause and breathe deeply can really help calm us and allow us to refocus and be mindful or reflective in how we respond. Listening is the most important aspect of communication. Really listening to what the person is saying and also trying to determine what the person is hearing us say is key. Listening to silence can be beneficial, as silence allows someone to think about what's being said or what's being discussed and how they're going to respond. So it's becoming comfortable in the silence. The skill of being comfortable in the silence or being a good listener can take a lot of practice, but it is a skill that can pay off tremendously in the long run. I think also asking questions can be beneficial. So making sure we're not assuming some things about what the other person is saying because we think we know everything about what's going on. Ask some open-ended questions to get their thoughts, their perception, their reflection on a particular situation, and really be a good listener in hearing their side. Taking our time and slowing down, communicating at an even pace is very important This allows everyone to think through the conversation and again be reflective on how they're going to respond and what they're going to say next. If we can be as specific as possible, that's beneficial as well. So speaking directly and not hinting or hoping the person will guess what we need or what we want. Being assertive and expressing what we need or want to happen will be important. People are not mind readers, so if we don't share with them very openly and honestly what we need, that can be a challenge in effective communication. So really making sure we're making our needs known in a very mindful and respectful way, and that really is through the use of I messages can be very beneficial. We want to avoid arguing. We want to listen to concerns and try to understand the other person's experience and opinions. Their life and experiences might be very different than ours. So again, listening can really be key in keeping arguing and disagreements to a minimum. And I think it's important to remind ourselves as we have conversations, we're really focusing on having unmet needs met. So these conversations aren't about being right or wrong. It's really focused on an outcome that is mutually beneficial. And this last one, using humor when appropriate, can certainly ease tension. And I would share most caregivers and care receivers know each other well enough to find humor in a situation and know when it's appropriate to be used. So if nothing else from our time together, I am hopeful that I've given you some good takeaways for improving communication that'll allow you to express yourselves and be a good listener. I would encourage you to practice using I messages to express your feelings, raising any concerns you have, asking for help, or even setting limits. So as we look at this slide here, it's a quote from George Bernard Shaw, who was a playwright and awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1925. So it reads, "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place." I'm hopeful this quote provides a chance for you to reflect on what past communication styles have looked like and what opportunities are for improvement in the future. I also want to be able to leave you with some resources. So this slide provides you a list of national resources for caregiving. There is wonderful information on these sites relating to communication, as well as general caregiving topics you might find beneficial in the future. These are some local resources. I am hopeful you are already aware of them, but if not, I encourage you to explore their websites. ServiceLink is a statewide resource center focused on older adults and adults with disabilities. They are a wealth of information on what exists to support those aging and caring for loved ones in our community. So I encourage you to reach out to them because they are a great wealth of knowledge. And similarly, here in the state of New Hampshire, we also have 211, which is another statewide resource information center. Here at the Concord Regional VNA, we offer a 6-week educational program called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. In this program, we do focus on providing family caregivers the tools and resources they need to take care of themselves while caring for a loved one. We do offer this program throughout the year. So if you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to call our office at 224-4093. Extension 5815 will get you in touch with our Community Benefit Department. I will share we offer this program at no charge to the community as part of our community benefit programming. So I want to thank you for taking time to view this program. I'm hopeful you found it beneficial. I encourage you to take time to view other programs available in our pre-recorded library. Please enjoy your day and stay well. Thank you.